And it ain't Colin Kaepernick. It is Austin Davis. Austin Davis has now been signed by the Seahawks. And remember, just this past weekend, head coach Pete Carroll, Dan was somewhat outspoken in favor of Colin Kaepernick, saying he believes he can still be a starter in this league. Yeah. So if a guy who can be a starter in this league is available for the price of a third-string quarterback, why are you signing Austin Davis instead of Colin Kaepernick?
There must be something else at work here, mustn't
you
there,
think?
Trey? I think, we talked last week about John Mara's comments about, all that comes with signing Colin Kaepernick and how he had said to the MMQB that he had never received more notes and letters from angry fans or angrier notes and letters from angry fans than he did about the Colin Kaepernick issue. So obviously there's some off-field that comes with this. You have to take on the fact that a chunk of your fan base is going to be unhappy if you bring him in. And if the Seahawks liked him that much that Pete Carroll really believes he can still be a starter in the league, and they went with Austin Davis, then obviously I think it's clear that something else is at work here.
Yeah, and even going up against Colin Kaepernick, the player, I mean, I'd much rather go up against Austin Davis because of what Colin Kaepernick has to bring in all of the challenges you would have to go up against as a defensive linebacker, as a defensive coordinator. This is obviously something else. This is not good for Colin Kaepernick in terms of this look like his best chance. Listen, you kneel down for the national anthem, and I tell you, a lot of people have a problem with it. I mean, it was a big deal last year. Owners remember this. This isn't just a GM head coach thing. Right. This is something where they would have to go to the owner and get this approved. And this is something to where I've been in conversation with Bill Belichick where he would come up to me and say, what do you think about this player right here before we signed him? How would he fit in our locker room? Questions like that. So how does your various captain think about it that you would come up to and ask him about it? So many channels you would have to go through to get this approved.
When Colin Kaepernick got a look from the Seattle Seahawks, part of me thought, oh, maybe this is sort of, the first of, we have renewed interest. Maybe other teams say, oh, yeah, something, maybe it is worth, what's the harm in bringing him in for a visit, seeing how he looks physically, perhaps getting a chance to meet with him and see how he might fit in your quarterback room. And now it's been crickets. And this felt like, by far, Colin Kaepernick's best shot. Maybe even his best.
Does he have any other shot? Is there another shot for him out there, barring massive injuries?
Right. I think it might, but it might be
someone will get hurt.
Right.
I mean, that's a fact of NFL life. Someone will get hurt at some point in minicamp or training camp, and then that changes a team's perspective on what they need at the position. But I mean, yeah, this is a guy he's a better player. Tell you to say, he's a better player than Austin Davis. You could list 10, 15 guys that are backup quarterbacks in the league right now with jobs that he's better than. But obviously, this is not a player who's played particularly well the last couple of years. But
he was 16 touchdowns, 4 interceptions last year.
Neither is Austin Davis, right? But I mean, around the league, there's a perception that the Chip Kelly offense can prop up a quarterback's stats, and so I think that's a big part of it too. And when I spoke with John Mara last week after those comments came out, he said, look, there's a couple things here. Number one, he hasn't played well the last couple of years. If he had, I think he'd have a lot of suitors lined up. Yep. But he hasn't.
Showed some things last year.
But I was about to say, I think it's easy to say, well, the 49ers were terrible. He didn't play as bad as people are trying to make it sound like he played.
That is correct.
And I'm not trying to go to that end of this argument. I'm not. I mean, I think that, again, it's incredibly clear that there's something at work here beyond this just isn't the same player he was in 2012, 2013. It's the combination of that and the fact that you are right or wrong. You are going to anger a segment of your fan base if you bring this player in.
And owners do not want that. They don't want to anger the fan base. So much stability is needed for this signing to happen. Locker room stability, quarterback room stability. If your starter goes down, would he take it personal if Kaepernick, a legitimate starter, then comes in? Was he afraid of his job? GM, head coach stability, all of that. They have to be stable of their foundation of how they feel about their job security.
Also, we are presuming, at least earlier in the conversation, that this was, that if it was both players available at the same price tag. We don't know for sure. We don't know specifically how much Colin Kaepernick wants, but I would imagine this deal will be at or near the minimum for Austin Davis.
Yeah. Well, Colin, you better not be asking for too much because you're not going to get it.
But if it's more than that could be a factor. That could be why Seattle picks one player versus the other.
My understanding on Colin Kaepernick at this point is that the expectations have been adjusted dramatically downward, and all he's looking for is someone to offer him a job and a chance to play and get with some coaching and get to work on his game.
That's what it needs to be.
Let's be clear. Every NFL owner and team has the right to make the decisions they seem to be making on Colin Kaepernick. No one's saying that's not a part of this. I mean, they're allowed to do this. It's their business. They can run it any way they want. But let's not pretend in any way, shape, or form that this is much more about something